Caitlyn Jenner is at the Republican National Convention, and she spoke to the pro-LGBT American Unity Fund, and she made some interesting comments. She said, "I get it, the Democratic Party does a better job when it comes to the LGBT community, the trans community, all that kind of stuff." She went on to give Obama credit for allowing trans people to openly serve in the military. And then she said, quote, "It was easy to come out as trans. It was hard to come out as Republican." Relax. Relax. So, yeah, maybe in your context, it was hard to come out Republican because of where you live. You know, you're in Hollywood. Hollywood is overwhelmingly Democratic. I wouldn't argue liberal because they kind of like the establishment hacks in Hollywood. So they're all rah-rah Hillary Clinton and not Bernie Sanders. So it's kind of the corporatist Democratic wing. So, yeah, in that context, maybe you say you're a Republican and you get people are like, But, you know, look, there's a big difference between disliking you based on the ideas and the principles that you have versus disliking you based on who you are in a way that you can't control. So if you are against somebody because of their race, that's like, oh, you're a bad person. You're saying, by definition, I don't like you because you're not the same race as me. That's a bad person. If you say, look, I don't like you because you don't have the same ideas, and not only the same ideas, but no, you just have bad ideas that affect the world in a bad way. Well, no, that's not prejudging. That's just judging. That's just looking at your philosophy and going, that's so beyond the pale that what am I going to do? I'm not going to pretend like I respect it when I don't. Look at what the Republican Party stands for. Basically, more war across the board. Cut taxes for rich people, deregulate. That'll crash the economy. Forget anti-poverty programs and things like that. I mean, these are things that are, to many rational people, they look at that's egregious. Like, that's not okay. So disagreement is not oppression. And that's what she's trying to say. Oh, my God, I was harder to come out as a Republican than as trans. No. For trans people, a lot of them experience genuine oppression. Like, I'm not going to hire you. You're not equal, yada, yada. But for ideology, it's just disagreement. Hey, we don't agree with what you believe in. Oh, you're oppressing me. This is the old, fundamentalist religious move where Christians say, oh, you're oppressing me by not allowing me to discriminate against people. Or in Islamists in Iran. Oh my God, you say we should treat gays equal and treat liberals and secularists equal? I'm so offended and I am so victimized. You're oppressing me. So they want to have a right to take away your rights. That's kind of what this reminds me of. Now, having said all that, I may have changed my mind a little bit on the Caitlyn Jenner thing in general. So I used to be on the side of being a trans Republican is just... It's like you're obviously with the group of people that hate you. Now, that's still true, because obviously if you poll the Republican Party, they have no interest in, trans people, gay people. It's still like they're just against you. So that's still the case. But isn't it also true that if we're going to make progress, you're going to need people who are trans and gay from within the Republican Party basically try to normalize themselves within the party and let everybody know, like, no, seriously, we're not that bad. We're not that crazy. Caitlyn Jenner's a bad example because she is that crazy. But don't you want people to basically try to reform the party and say, no, actually, yeah, I'm a trans Republican and there's no problem with that. And we're going to try to push this party in the right direction on the social issues. There is an upside to that, a very clear upside to that, because maybe over the long run it works. And honestly, what it reminds me of is like Christian feminists or Muslim feminists. Like, on the one hand, it's almost a contradiction in terms, like there's a lot of just flat out oppression of women, and it's almost codified in the holy books. Islam, for example, says in, I think, some of the hadith says women are, quote, mentally deficient. Kind of hard to square that with feminism and stuff. And then there's inheritance rules about women only get a certain less than men do. And then with the Bible, by the way, it also says women are supposed to cover their head. So it's funny that it was like, see, backwards Muslims covering their head. Well, if you read your fucking Bible, women are supposed to do that too. So I get it. It's almost a contradiction between feminism and religion, definitely fundamentalist religion. But if we're going to try to make these things more enlightened and push them into modernity, then don't you need feminists to go in there and say, yeah, no, I'm a feminist Muslim, and my interpretation is better than your interpretation, and I'm going to tell you why it makes sense. Yeah, I'm a feminist Christian. Here's why it's better. So I'm of two minds about this, man. Now, the only counterargument to that I can think of is the difference is with religions, they're amorphous by their very nature. So in other words, you go to the religion and you really can find shit that's good and bad in every holy book. You know, help the poor, fuck the poor. Don't do war, do a lot of war. It's in them. It's in them. So you could find whatever and just harp away on the side that you like more. So they're amorphous by their very nature. With ideologies, with political ideologies, it's much less amorphous. Like, you're either a progressive or you're not a progressive based on your policy positions. You're either a conservative or you're not a conservative based on your policy positions. You know, maybe there's a little more leeway in the parties, so Republican and Democrat, there's different wings of the party and stuff. But I don't know, it just appears like it might be so rigid that there's just not room for trans Republicans because they just hate you and they're never going to change their mind on that. So that's also a possibility. I don't know. But either way, I look at Caitlyn Jenner here saying, it was easy to come out as trans. It was hard to come out as Republican. That's the same kind of nonsense Republican victim complex that reminds me of the Christian victim complex in America. The Christians are 70% of the fucking country. You're the overwhelming majority of the presidents in American history. You're the overwhelming majority of elected officials. You run everything. You're not fucking victims. You're not victims. Oh, you're a Republican? You make up half the fucking country? You don't like it that liberals disagree with you? Oh, you're so victimized. You're not a victim. Look at the statistics on trans discrimination. There's some real discrimination there. I mean, it's bad. And you're comparing that with just having some shitty ideas and people disagreeing with those shitty ideas. It's a bad way of thinking.